be in. So we are live right now.
Okay.
We'll wait a couple of minutes. I have 7:59 on my phone. Oh, just turned to 8 o'clock. So we'll wait a couple of minutes to see if Chief Conley comes on.
Okay, thank you.
Happy St. Patrick's Day, everybody.
I like the soda. I like the soda. I like the soda. I like Well, you see that is normal. That's not. What the heck? Uh-oh. That is a good soda.
Hey, Joanne, you're on mute. Sorry.
Okay, sorry, I was doing my legal, everything that I have to do. Okay. So this meeting is open. It's 8:04 a.m. Licensing Commission meeting Wednesday, March 17th. This meeting is recorded by video and audio in accordance with the state open meeting law, consistent with the governor's orders suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law and banning gatherings of more than 10 people. This meeting will be conducted by remote participation. If you are calling in on a phone, you can press *9 to request to speak. If you're watching on a computer or device, there is a raised hand button that you can tap or press to request to speak. please use either of these options to be recognized. So all votes will be by roll call vote today. We are going to take matters out of order, because the first order of business would be the minutes of the January 20th meeting, and Chief Smith was not present at that meeting, so we wouldn't be able to approve them because he would have to recuse himself. So we're going to start with the request from Generous Gardeners to conduct a plant sale on May 22nd, 2021 and October 23rd, 2021 on the Boulevard. So Chief Smith, you would have to put your video on in order to, okay, thank you, sorry. And I like to state for the record who's present. So to be Joanne Sinos, the city clerk, the licensing commission member, Chief Smith. Chief Conley is absent at this time.
Joanne,
And-
I
Yes,
got a text from Chief Conley. He is restarting his computer. He's been trying 3 times, so he should be shortly.
okay, so, okay, and also the mayor, Safathia Romeo Taken. So Chief, do you want to just take up the plant sale while we wait for Chief Conley?
Sure. If you guys need to speak on this at all to kind of give us the outline of what you're looking at and where you're looking to do it. I see the location is on the Boulevard, but I don't know that location works. Does it, Joanne?
She has done, this is Generous Gardeners. They plant the tulips and the dahlias
Yep.
all year. They take care of that. They've had plant sales in the past pre-COVID. There where they sell the bulbs, but Susan Kelly is here and she can speak on the matter. And, you know, of course, she knows the guidelines with the COVID.
Right. Hello. Yes, I'm Susan Kelly. I run Generous Gardeners. We're the volunteer group of gardeners that take care of 45 places in Gloucester. We're kind of the unpaid arm of the DPW. But what we've done, and this is one of our fundraisers, and actually a significant part of the money goes to Gloucester Education Foundation to fund plant-related curriculum in the schools. But basically, it's a plant sale, but it's from our own gardens. And we've done it, this is actually going to be our 10th year that we've done this plant sale. We've done it different places, but for the last 4 years, it's been, well, we didn't do it last year, but for the last 4 years or 3 years prior, we did it on the Boulevard. And basically we do it down by the tennis courts. We have a little shed there and there's actually quite a bit of room in front of the tennis courts. And we just do it from 9 to 12. It's actually hugely popular because the plants are really, really cheap because we dig them up from our own garden. We also sell extra dahlia tubers and the extra daylilies from the Boulevard. And it's kind of a little bit of a mad rush from 9 to 12, but parking is free right now, you know, at Stage 4 Park. I believe it will be, right? I have a meeting with Mike Hale. I'm going to try to double check to make sure the bathrooms are going to be open, at least for that day. And it's a great hello, Chief Conley. It's a great event. People were really sad that we didn't have it last year because again, you can buy, you know, beautiful flowering perennial for, you know, $2, which is just not what happens when you go to the garden center. So I mean, I hope you let us have it. We really haven't had any problems in the past. We actually bring the plants out there the night before and kind of put hazard tape all around it. We have kind of a surplus supply of that. We just put it around it for the night, and then bright and early we're there. And again, it's 9 to 12. There probably will be some congestion and some people fighting for parking spaces on the Boulevard. But again, Stacy, you know, the Stage 4 Park is open. So we've never had a problem in the past.
Yeah, I would just suggest when you talk to DPW, you know, ask about the Bedreau parking lot there for the ball field. That may be a good
might open that up
alternative,
for us. Yeah.
and it's so close that it's, you know, a few steps and you can have a real parking
Right.
spot. So
Yeah,
to
we
speak.
always ask for that because that's also the only handicap accessible way to get, you know, there. So yeah, no, I definitely will. I'll put it on my list. I've got like 25 items to deal with Mike. So
Sounds good. Well, are you making the motions, Joanne, or you want me to
Oh,
make?
wait, there's one more thing.
Oh, sure.
Then on, and I'd like to get them both because this is kind of an unusual committee. I mean, this is not like really an event. This is, you know, so what we did last year for the first time, but we didn't do it on the Boulevard because I didn't have time to get a permit, is the week before the first hard frost, we sold bouquets of dahlias from the boulevard because they were, as soon as there's a hard frost, they're all dead. And we made $5,000 in one day selling
Nice.
those, selling those bouquets. And that was totally disorganized. That was a last minute thing. We ran out. People would come back 10 times to try to get more. So I'm hoping we could do it on the boulevard, cut them all the day before, send all the volunteers home to make bouquets, come back the next day, have people show up, pick the bouquet they want and be gone. So it'd be like super fast, super easy. And then all the dahlias are gone. Then we'll have a hard frost, dig them all up and start it all over again for the next year.
Gotcha. So is that the October 23rd date?
That's
that
the October 23rd date. I mean, I would love to wait and see what the weather is going to be like, but I know you need a date. So, so we're thinking that's pretty safe. We did it till the 25th last year, and then the next week there was a hard frost. So again, we're dependent on Mother Nature a little bit.
Gotcha. How would that work, Joanne, if we make a motion with a firm date like this, without any rain dates listed? Can they call your office to amend that or change that, or does that need to be part of the motion?
No, I mean, you could put in, weather dependent, and they might, need to change the date.
Right.
Usually what happens when we do, if they don't have a rain date or when an event, a plant sale happens, is that anything can happen weather-wise, especially in the fall. So what we do is, as long as no one else has that date, which this is the first that we've approved for anything on the boulevard, whether tag days or anything. So they can call the office, and I think if it's the will of the commission that they have no problem changing the date, we can just, as long as they advise us, and then I can advise Mike Hale and, the chiefs of the new date. So, for any traffic issues.
All right. Sounds good.
I don't think it's a problem.
Okay.
It's kind of small. It's from 9 to 12. And they're pretty well organized in the past. We haven't had any complaints that I know of. So I don't see a problem with it as long as the commission agrees with it.
Sounds good. Well, let me give a whirl at a motion on this one. So I move to approve the request for Generous Gardeners conduct a plant sale on May 22nd, 2021 and October 23rd, 2021 on the Boulevard, with the approval for rain date change to be scheduled and subject to approval through the clerk's office and their process as needed due to weather. And I so move.
I'll second that, only because I don't know, Chief Conley, how much of the conversation you heard and whether you'll be able to vote on this.
I'll abstain then. But
Okay,
I will say hello to Susan. It's good to see her.
okay, all right. And for the record, I want to record that Chief Conley joined the meeting at 8:08 a.m. Okay, so we have a motion and we have a second. So roll call vote, Chief Smith
Yes.
and Joanne Sino, City Clerk, yes. And the motion passes 2 in favor and 1 recused. Okay, Susan, you're all set. I'll send you the form that I'll sign off on via email.
Thank you. I appreciate
Okay.
it.
Okay.
Hope for a really awesome summer this year.
Yeah, you guys do awesome work down there. It's beautiful. My wife drags me down there, and I actually enjoy it. So
Well, good. Well, we planted 30,000 new tulip bulbs this year, and we won a grant, so we're going to have hanging baskets on Main Street again this year.
I feel money leaving my pocket already. So all right, awesome.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye, Joe. See you, Susan.
Okay, so third item on the agenda, which we took matters out of order, Chief Conley, because you were not here. And so we couldn't approve the January 20th minutes because Chief Smith was not there at that meeting. So at the end of the meeting, we'll approve them.
Okay.
So the next is the request of Mario Oliveira, DBA Cape Ann Limousine Service for a livery permit pursuant to Gloucester Code of Ordinances, Chapter 25, Vehicles for Hire. So Mr. Oliveira, can you introduce yourself, please?
Yes, good morning, guys. My name is Mario Oliveira, and I'm attempting to conduct my business, Cape Ann Limousine Service. I'm gonna be a livery service to help the community, Mostly I'm gonna focus in do pickups in the deliveries in Logan, but also help small business here with the transportation. like Beauport Hotel, etc. And I like to ask permission, you guys, if it's possible.
Okay. I do want to start, if you don't mind. He did get his zoning compliance to have a home office out of where he's living. He's renting at 5 Oak Street, and the owner of the property did give permission. And the zoning compliance form was signed off by Greg Cefalo, the zoning compliance inspector at the building department. So he has all the proper paperwork in order to conduct his business out of that property. Do you want to tell him about the parking, where you're going to park your minivan, please?
Yes, so I'm gonna operate a 7-seat minivan, which I own. I don't need any finance to open the business. I'm gonna park in my driveway, which I get permission already. And basically, it's like that. I'm gonna work, you know. I have no employees. I'm gonna be the driver, the main driver. So
Okay, so the mayor has raised her hand. So I'm gonna,
I have it. I understand this is right now, a small business run by himself in an apartment in a rented building. Oak Street is residential. I understand he has parking to be put in his driveway, and that's fine. If it starts to expand that he's going to need employees, or he's gonna have to get another vehicle because one is not gonna be enough for the hotel and stuff, well, you have to come back in front of the licensing commission, because that whole zoning, there is no other parking on that street, et cetera, et cetera. And then it's now no more a self-employed one person, it's expanded into a business in a residential area.
okay,
Mhm.
so what he would have to do is come before the licensing commission again. He would have to provide, before he comes to the licensing commission, he would have to do a commercial spot, whether it all depends on how many vehicles he would have, and make sure whatever spot that he's going to be renting from is commercially zoned or zoned for business. So he would have to get permission again through the building department for the zoning compliance on, where he's going to operate his business out of. So, and also he would need permission in order, we are only granting him one livery license. He has one vehicle, so he would have to come back to the commission for us to add on another livery license, or how many vehicles he would have extra in addition to this one.
Okay, thank you. I was asked by some of the neighbors, and that's perfect. Thank you.
Okay.
They have no
Thank you.
complaints with one.
Okay. Chiefs, any questions?
The only question I have is what's your experience in this business in the past?
well, I work for a taxi in town. The fisherman taxi don't exist anymore. In previous that, about 5 years ago, I worked to a limousine company. So I do pickups and delivers in Logan, all over the state. I have quite the experience. I'm gonna do flat rates. So if someone won't come into town or leave town, the only option now is only Uber or Lyft, because the local taxi in the present, they are not doing Logan for the last year and 2 or 3 months. And there's a lot of tourism now coming in the summer to Beauport, etc. And so a Lyft is about $170 each way, or Uber. I'm gonna do flat rate, much more affordable than that. So,
Great, thank you.
thank you too.
Yeah, I'm all set.
Okay, so the only question I have is that you're using the name Cape Ann Limousine Service. Have you gone on the state's website to see if anybody else is using that name?
Well, I've been doing a lot of research and I don't find nothing with the same name.
Okay. Okay, I want to do that. And also, I wanted to mention that according to the state law and the city ordinance, if you are doing business under a different name, you are going to have to file a doing business certificate with the city. And I didn't give you that information before because I wanted to wait to see if we approved your livery. So because you were doing Mario Oliveira DBA Cape Ann limousine service, you're doing business as Cape Ann limousine service, you would have to do a business certificate with the city. And it's $100 for 4 years, but once we approve this, we can go into detail. And once he submitted all his paperwork to register the vehicle, and also for a livery license, in which I've already done a query for. So the only thing he would need to do is come in, if we approve this, come in and pay for the application for the licenses, and also do a business certificate. And the business certificate is $100 for 4 years.
Okay.
Okay.
Mhm.
So any other questions, chiefs?
I do not. Eric, would you
Okay.
mind reading the motion?
Oh, okay.
Sure.
Can I just mention one more thing? Okay.
Yeah.
So Mr. Oliveira, I think you know from past experience driving a taxi that the livery permit plus the livery operator's license is only good for till December 31st. And you have to renew each year, and we will send you a renewal letter before December 31st, so that as of January 1st, you can renew.
Okay,
Okay?
absolutely.
All right, Joanne, you want me to make the motion?
Sure.
I move to approve the request of Mario Oliveira doing business as Cape Ann Limousine Service for a livery permit pursuant to the Gloucester Code of Ordinance, Chapter 25, Vehicles for Hire, as well as complying with the requirements of filing the DBA certificate with the city.
I second the motion.
Okay, so it's been moved and seconded. Roll call vote, Chief Smith,
Yes?
Chief Conley,
Yes.
and Joanne Sino, City Clerk. Yes, the motion passes on the vote of 3 in favor, 0 opposed. Okay, you are approved, Mr. Oliveira. Please call the office to make an appointment, and we will issue all the licenses that are required. Okay?
Okay, thank you very much. I appreciate everyone.
Good luck.
Best-
Have a great
Yep, best of
summer.
luck.
Thank you. Have a good
Thanks.
day. Bye-bye.
Okay, so now the next order of business is the request from Attorney Meredith Fine on behalf of Jonathan Morneau. I hope I'm saying that right.
Sure.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay. For a livery permit pursuant to Gloucester Code of Ordinance, Chapter 25, Vehicles for Hire.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Meredith Fine. I'm an attorney at 46 Middle Street. With me in another box on the screen is Mr. Morneau, the applicant, and also Tom Orrell of Yankee Fleet, who's very interested in this proposal. So we're requesting a livery license. Mr. Morneau is a hardworking young man with a good idea. And that is for what he's calling a Yankee cycle bus, which has 1 driver and 13 passengers, and everybody pedals. The bus has a small motor, a motor that you would see on a golf cart, to help people get up hills and to give the passengers a little break. But it's generally a self-powered vehicle. And he has designed 2 routes that are in the application. And we've marked on the routes, Mr. Morneau has marked on the routes, quite a large number of places where he can pull off to the side if traffic is backed up behind him, and let people go. And the routes will take 1 hour to 2 hours. He'll go around downtown, stopping at various landmarks, restaurants, the hotel, the Gloucester House. He's told me that people are particularly interested in watching the filming of Wicked Tuna. So this is this is going to be a destination service. People will, especially young people, will come to Gloucester to use this cycle bus. And that is how it works in other cities around the country, that young people just love this service. In my letter, in my application, I believe I hit on all the points that are required by the Code of Ordinances. We can't gauge the public demand because it doesn't exist yet. But as we say, the demand in other communities has been quite high, quite popular. There are no other carriers doing this, so we can't really address that. We think we have addressed the effect on traffic by designing routes where the bus can pull over. The applicant has enough. We weren't, honestly, we weren't completely clear on how to meet the requirement of the financial responsibility of the applicant. So I took that to mean, is the applicant financially able to provide this service? And he is. The character of the equipment to be furnished, I really want to emphasize that this is going to be a vehicle that meets the standards of the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. It will have a vehicle identification number. This thing isn't a toy. It's a real vehicle. It's got safety equipment on it. And it's been designed and modified by a company that does this kind of work. So in terms of the zoning, first of all, I want to thank the clerk for her assistance with the application. We have been talking to Mr. Sanborn about where the cycle bus is going to be housed. We don't have a final decision from him. So I asked Madam Clerk if we could talk to you and you could make, if you were to approve it, make your decision contingent on the zoning letter from Mr. Sanborn. So, I mean, that's my presentation. I think it's pretty straightforward. He's building a relationship with Yankee Fleet. Yankee Fleet is providing administrative services. People will make their reservations through the Yankee Fleet office. And the Yankee Fleet will be one of the stops. But since I wrote this application, it became clear to me that we couldn't store the bus at the Yankee Fleet facility on Parker Street. So I would say to you that we are still working on where it's going to be stored. We have a location that we're working with, but as I say, Mr. Sanborn is still researching it. So we're excited about it. We think it's going to be a thing that the city can advertise, that the visit will be very strong for the visitor economy, will bring customers to local businesses. And as you saw in the application, we have letters from other services that could provide this around the country, and with no incidents at all. So happy to answer your questions. Joanne, you're muted.
Cheese, the mayor has her hand up. Do you have any objection with her asking a question before you ask your questions?
No, not at all.
I do not.
Okay, Mayor.
Okay, I also have Melissa Texera Prince on here, who is our chair of the licensing board. I know Attorney Fine didn't mention about when they're going to bring their own beverages. Alcohol beverages cannot be brought on this because we have an ordinance, first of all, in Gloucester, and she'll be speaking after me on that. So since she's on here, I don't have to ask those questions. So you don't have, where are they going to be the pickup and the stops?
I want to just say that alcohol is allowed by state law.
Not by our ordinances.
What section?
Oh, she'll address that, Meredith. She's an expert at that. I'm not.
Yeah.
So she can address that. I have a problem with people paddling and drinking. Same thing as drinking and driving, even though it'll be hard, you're stuck at the bridge in traffic, they're going to sit there, they're going to start taking drinks. That's not, and it's an open, I'm sure this is an open bus where you can see I just, it doesn't look good either. So that's my concern. She'll address all of that. She's the chair, and that's why she's the chair, because she's also an attorney, so she knows. She was sending me some chapters, but she got on, so I'm not worried about that. I know state law, and we have city ordinances, and you know what? I mean, I have no problems. I'll even gonna try paddling. It sounds like a fun thing. I think we'll all laugh. I think it's great for the community. It's clean energy. It's perfect. It's helping people. You have fun. You go around. But concern is pick up and drop off. They're gonna have to. They can't go at a bus stop. And so we need to find out exactly, they can work with the city where they can, and do it now where they can talk to Donna Compton, where you can get places in Gloucester that we do rent out. So they can, like we did, remember with the, what is it called? The duck?
Duck boat.
Yeah, the duck boat. I don't know how big this bus is. So I don't know if it needs 2 spots, 1 spot, but it'll be safety. The safety is my concern. I'm sure both chiefs will say that. And that's my main concern. Where they storage their boat, or where they keep it, or bus after, is no problem to the city. It's the pickup and drop offs where people will know. So one, we can let people know where they can, and the chamber would love to help out. We all want more fun things to do in the city where it's you can with the COVID, so that'd be great. I'm sure they know the compliance of the bus, the open space, the mask, so I'm not worried about that. I am a little worried about just the alcohol beverages. I mean, I'm not saying they can't bring it on there, but he can say, please, no outside drinking, wait till off the whatever. But the fact is, we do have a city ordinances. So I'll let, if you don't mind, through the chair, if you don't mind, I have Melissa Texera, who does have to go back to work, but she jumped on this morning. Melissa?
Okay, Chiefs, do you have any objection about this issue? We are here just to license delivery, but do you have any objections about the chair of the licensing board speaking on this matter now?
Oh, actually, it's kind of an education for me. That's one of my questions on this, is how does that work? And I think, overall the city needs to take a holistic look at these kind of things. I mean, if that is the intent of the bus service, and to allow that, and that's part of the draw perhaps for the demographic that's looking to use this, that's an expectation. I'd hate for us to approve it, him spend money on upfront licensing and more energy than he's already put into it, for his entire plan not to play out. That may impact the viability of it. So I think, get the education piece out of the way and what can be done and not be done. So he's fully informed right up front here at the beginning, I think is appropriate. And for my own purpose, I would like to know as well. They've got one in the Detroit area. I haven't been on it. I have friends that have been on it, and they enjoyed it, but it's a different area, different space and abilities. So, it's all got to get weighed in.
Melissa?
I have no objection, Madam Chair.
Okay. All right, Melissa, welcome.
Good morning, Melissa Texera Prince, just speaking on behalf of the licensing board. And I just want to say, first of all, Meredith, as you know, I'm not an expert in liquor law as far as a practicing attorney, but because of my position at the court, I do deal with a lot of alcohol-related issues and crimes. So I guess my question is, as you know, Mass General Law, Chapter 90, Section 24I prohibits open containers in motor vehicles. I guess we could question whether this pedal bus with a motor is considered a motor vehicle. But as you know, mopeds are considered motor vehicles, so I don't know what the difference would be as far as operation, having a motor in a vehicle to determine whether that law applies. But we also have a city ordinance prohibiting drinking in public. So I guess my question is, because I honestly don't know, is there a law in Massachusetts that gets around those particular laws? I mean, we arrest people on a regular basis just for being in a car, and I'm sure Chief Connolly can attest to this. If there's an open beer in the back seat of a car, no matter how many people are in there, there can be a charge of open container. So how do we legally get around having people drinking in public on a bus that's probably open aired, to get around those laws and not be charged? regardless of the BYOB law in Massachusetts, which allows BYOB if there's no regulation. But this is a little bit different than that situation. So I would just ask you what you know that I don't know.
I appreciate the question, Melissa, and it's nice to see you. Nice to
You
see
too,
you.
as well.
Chapter 90, Section 24LC says that the open container law does not apply to passengers on motor vehicles for hire. And so the law is clear, crystal clear, that people in livery vehicles can drink.
So does that mean the city ordinance doesn't apply as well for drinking in public?
I don't believe that it can supersede a state law. I haven't.
Oh, yes, we have. We'll have Chip check it out. There's not a problem.
Well, I would just to weigh in, if you don't mind, Madam Chair, is
Thank you.
that ordinance flows from state law. It flows from state law. So that would be the sort of catch. I mean, I just don't, I can only say anecdotally, since I'm unaware of any other community in Massachusetts which allows people to pedal down the street and drink a beer, just anecdotally. And again, I understand this is getting outside the scope of what this is about. Just, it seems like your clients may not want to move forward unless they're able to obtain the ability for their people to drink on these rides and bring alcohol.
Let me just say that this commission, I don't believe, has alcohol in its purview. Our application meets all of the requirements in the Code of Ordinances, period.
Right,
And
I agree. We agree.
you can only turn it down for good cause, which, again, we hit all the criteria.
So I
In
guess-
terms of interpreting the law, I believe that a statute that is as specific as this one would override a general ordinance such as the one that the mayor and Melissa are citing. So that's a question of legal interpretation, and I'm happy to talk to Chip about it and go around with him
I
about it.
prefer that. I'm saying, all right, we cannot turn down the livery license. We're not saying that. We're talking about protocol. We're talking about our community here. I'm talking about the perspective, what we show people, what we want. So you're trying to tell me that his whole business, his whole paddle thing is about drinking, Meredith. I mean, Jonathan's right there. He can say, you know what, I can, when they're on there, they can paddle all they want. We can say, please don't have alcohol beverages showing. And that's in good standard. That's good. That's, that's like saying, let's put on the side of a lot of the places that they didn't want to do in Gloucester is don't show alcohol beer on billboards. Don't show guns on billboards. This is a community that's not forcing anyone. It's not telling him he can't have his license, Meredith. We're saying you can have that boat, whatever you want to call it, paddle, bus or whatever. That's great. That's opportunity. We're saying be our good neighbors, work with us. You have the policeman who's also concerned when young people are going to see it and say, oh, look, we get to do that. This is fun. We don't want people getting off, and it'll be his responsibility when they get off of his bus, that if I have a police officer there and they're intoxicated and something happens, he's liable. Does he have the liability insurance for that? That's what I'm saying. It's just, so all he has to have is a little sign or whatever. They can bring it on. You can't stop anyone from carrying anything in their possessions. But just say, as we're going on here, please do not. If they're going in a private place and that's all they have, that's something. But publicly, he can say, I want to work with the city. And I would prefer, especially if you're stuck in traffic and you're in the middle of Western Ave, when we know there's all kids walking around or on Main Street, that they're drinking alcohol. What is the perception of the people? We're not telling him he can't have a license. I'm going to go on that myself because I think that's going to be great. I think it's going to be fun, and it's going to be that's going to be a compliment to the city. All I'm asking is a friendly gesture that Jonathan would say to Mr. Matthew, I'm sorry, apologize, Mr. Murray would say to his customers, please, you know what? No alcohol drinking while we're in traffic, no alcohol drinking while we're here. We have to be careful. There's a liability too. It's just like if someone comes, drinks in my house and I let them go out and they do something. You're an attorney, you know about that. I have the DA. He's the one who taught the classes. You're responsible for anyone that's drinking in your possession, whether it's in your vehicle or your house or your private livery or wherever it is. Once they leave your premises and something happens, you are responsible. So
Right,
that's all
yeah.
I'm asking.
First of all, I'm grateful for the opportunity to hear your thoughts on this, and so that Jonathan can work with the city on this. He's not, I want to be clear, he's not doing this just so people can drink in public. The drinking is the alcohol piece of this is ancillary to the central point of it, which is to bring younger people into the city to enjoy the city, get out of their cars and visit different parts of the city. And I want to go, I don't want to forget to ask Jonathan in a minute where it's going to stop. You know, he's happy to take reasonable precautions with the drinking. He's well aware of his liabilities. It's nobody's intent to have people stumble off the bike and fall into the harbor. So I think that if this is the direction it goes in, that the driver would have special training. I've asked him to have the driver be tip certified. And of course, nobody would be selling alcohol. It would just be what they bring with them. So people are not going to be bringing cases of beer on this cycle bus. But he's very sensitive to the points that you're raising, Madam Mayor, and you know, I'm willing to think about reasonable ways of making sure that people don't get hurt. It's in his interest as well to make sure that people don't get hurt. John, do you want to talk about where the stops will be?
Okay, excuse me.
Sure. So,
Oh, I'm sorry. Hold on a second.
Okay, so I think Melissa has her hand raised for a question or a comment. So if you don't mind, I'd like to have her speak first.
Oh, of course.
Okay, and then I just wanted to have everybody keep in mind, in my time here since 2004 in the city clerk's office, we've never approved, well, I was in the position, but that I know of an open vehicle as a livery. Liveries have always been either taxis or private cars. So this is something new that has come before the licensing commission. So, and I also want to say that the licensing commission has not approved a livery if there isn't a location that they're going to be parking this vehicle out of.
Oh, well, the location that we're thank you for asking that. The location that is currently under consideration is 13 Harbor Loop.
13 Harbor Loop, okay. Okay, Chief Conley?
John, actually, point of order, I want to ask the chair if we can't, I don't think I'd be able to vote one way or the other, just on the livery. I'm not, we're taking the alcohol portion, of course, out of this, it's outside our scope, but without a confirmation from Bill Sanborn, given the nature of the type of vehicle and the point that you just made, which is what I was thinking as well, is unless I know that where they're going to be traveling just to get to the beginning point of their route and whether or not Bill Sanborn's going to approve that, or we're going to be looking at a different location. If not, there seems to be some loose ends here that we'll need some answers to before, and some confirmation on before we vote, unless you think that we're unable to do that.
Yeah,
Well,
that's
my understanding was that I could, and perhaps if I misunderstood, I apologize, that I could come, make the presentation, and then if you voted in favor of it, you would be contingent on Mr. Sanborn's approval.
I'm just not comfortable with a contingent vote rather than having a single all-encompassing yes, yay or nay vote.
So Meredith, that was my understanding because you were working with Bill on the Parker Street parking. I was not aware that he said, you know, he decided that it couldn't be parked there and you needed a different location. So that's when I said that, yes, I'll put you on the agenda, and it was contingent for the Parker Street address. It
Okay.
wasn't, you know, I don't know if it's misunderstanding between us, because when I spoke to you or via email, you were still working with Bill for the Parker Street address. So I was not aware that that is not a feasible spot right now, and you have to look for someplace else.
Well, like I said, we're looking at 13 Harbor Loop. I apologize if I misunderstood.
Okay. I mean, it's good that you're presenting to us, because if we do have questions, but also, you know, and Chief Conley has raised some concerns. So it's better to have this presentation first, so that when we meet again, the questions can be answered, the research can be done before the commission makes a vote on this. And it's my understanding, the vehicle is being built now, so you don't even have it in your possession. Is that correct?
I'm going to let John, if it's all right with the chair, ask.
Okay, I'll let Melissa speak first, because I think she might be logging off, and we're going to talk about delivery piece and the hours of operation and everything. Okay.
Well, thank you. So I just wanted to say, because I'm hearing a conversation about purview, just so that everyone understands, this matter is not coming before the licensing board because they're not asking for an alcohol license. So I don't know who has the purview to discuss the alcohol piece of BYOB, but because it's not a state license or a local license, this matter will not be brought to the licensing board. So someone who has those alcohol concerns is going to have to figure out a way to have that conversation, because it won't be through our board. So maybe that's another question for Chip. So I'm not taking a position here. I'm just letting you know, so that you know going forward, this is not going to be a further discussion about alcohol. I haven't even seen the application. It's my understanding it was written in the application that it was going to be BYOB. And someone just gave me a heads up that this was going on because it involved alcohol. But know that this is not in the purview of the licensing board as well, because they are not asking for a license. If they were, we'd be asking questions about liability insurance, who's tip certified, who's checking the age, what are you going to do to prevent a 19-year-old from bringing a bottle of vodka in his pocket on the bus and stop them from drinking. You know, those are the type of inquiries that the licensing board would ask if there was a license. But in this case, because it's BYOB, is my understanding, none of those safeguards are being put forward for approval by the licensing board. So I just wanted everyone to be clear on that, that the licensing board does not have a role in this application.
I'm also going to be logging out. I just wanted to know, I can't wait. Make sure you make some of the seats a little wider, because I'm dying to try it out. But also, so this way we start fresh and we start together. Also, since it's not, like you said, this is not like a livery, because I know that we stopped taxi drivers from delivering alcohol to people's houses. So, and you know what, we have different ordinances, and you know what, some of the licenses, you know what, we asked them and they stopped, and they'll deliver food, they'll deliver everything else. But because it was so many people getting alcohol delivered to their houses, and they were all underage. So, but if this is not a livery and this is a different thing, and we don't know what this really is, you'll discuss that after. This way we have all the concerns, and then this way, you know what, we start fresh. He's building it, and you know what, I'm sure that he wants to work with the community, because he wouldn't be putting so much effort into building something he don't believe in. So I appreciate that. Welcome to Gloucester. I know this is kind of hard for the both of you, thinking that, oh, the mayor and everyone else is coming. We are not opposed to this. We are not opposed. It's just that we, you know what, we need to have a good perspective, a good community, and that was the only concern. But other than that, welcome to Gloucester, believe it or not. Thank you, everyone. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Melissa, you have your hand up, and you want to say anything else? Okay. Chiefs?
I would make a motion to the chair that we continue this matter until such time as we could hear Bill Sanborn's decision on where the vehicle will be located, whether or not that's appropriate. I'm willing to withdraw that motion if the applicants would like to move forward with a presentation, further presentation, but that would be the motion.
No, I don't want to, it's up to the chair if you'd like the presentation. I mean, I've pretty much made my presentation. You all have clearly read the application carefully.
Okay. So Chief, I would just like to get the questions to the applicant so that when they come before us again, not only for the location, but any, like, my question is hours of operation, okay? Also, it was like, I had a question is, the tickets are gonna be sold, I understand, from the Parker Street location, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, so when someone buys a ticket, okay, and then after they hop on and hop off, so they're only buying a ticket for that 2 hours and then they go back and pick up a different group? Is that my understanding, or is it going to be different? Or you have this ticket and you do like New York City, you hop off and off the buses, okay?
Yeah, that's a great question. Can I ask if Mr. Morneau can answer it?
Sure,
I'd be happy to. So you're correct. Would pick up one group and drop another group off. The tickets would be facilitated electronically, so you wouldn't need to actually show up at Parker Street to get them. You'd have some sort of digital receipt. It wouldn't be an on and off as many times as you like type of service. It would be predetermined pickup and drop off, whether it be a residence near the route or a hotel or a restaurant, a public parking lot, something to that effect that the city is willing to let us do.
okay. The other thing too is how many drivers, livery drivers are you going to have? Because the license is only specific to one person. So if you have 5 or 6 people driving this, like on different shifts, they would all need a livery license. So I just want to make you aware of that. There's not one license and then that person can drive under an umbrella license. So each one would have to, of your drivers would have to submit a livery application, and a query would need to be done, and it's $50 for the license. And like I said, it expires every December 31st of each year. So I wasn't sure whether you have like just 2 or 3 drivers, 5 drivers, because that can, you know, add to the cost of what you're looking at too.
So realistically, would like to run this season with 2 or 3 drivers. I have no problem paying for appropriate query checks and licensing fees, and all of those drivers would have suitable driving records and be included in my liability policies and automotive policies and all required insurance.
There is a whole package when you, if you are approved, there is a whole package about insurance, registration of the car, an application that you have to fill out with the VIN number and everything, that you would have to, workman's comp affidavit. So there's a whole package that you would have to fill out in order to register your livery.
Understood.
Okay, so I think that those are my questions. The other thing was like the stopping and parking, and speaking with Bob Ryan, you cannot stop at a bus stop. It's, even though it's called the bus under the Department of Public Utilities, because I looked it up, it doesn't come under a bus. It's under a low-speed vehicle with the Registry of Motor Vehicles. So he did say that you wouldn't be able to do any bus stops, okay? But I do know that time we had the duck tours, but it didn't really stop that much. It just rode around the city and then went into the water. But this would be a little different. It seems like it's more like a trolley type thing where you get on and off, correct? No?
It's
Well, it's sort of. It's sort of where, you know, you're gonna make stops, people are gonna get off, people are gonna get on.
Yeah, but we wouldn't be changing passengers halfway through the route. The stops would just be to highlight other local businesses like restaurants or retail stores or
Okay.
something like that.
Okay,
We wouldn't be changing passengers halfway through a 2-hour tour. It would be the same route getting on and off.
okay, so that's what I was getting at too, when you buy a ticket, then after you know, you have that same group of passengers for 2 hours.
Correct.
And then after you just change it for the next group. Okay. Any other questions, chiefs, that we want to have them when they come back?
Yeah, I
John,
mean,
I don't
it's-
think he answered your question about hours.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
John, what are your hours gonna be?
So we'd like to operate between 11 in the morning and around 9 p.m.
So the only questions I had were regarding the vehicle itself. I've just done a little bit of limited research, and I know our Code of Ordinance, refers to a motor vehicle or vehicle, that any self-propelled or motor-propelled vehicle used for transportation over the public streets with, and then at a private livery vehicle is licensed as such to be limited by trips by the hour. You know, arranged for out of town funerals, weddings, sightseeing, which this would fall into that. But is this licensed through the RMV, and where does it fall? I guess to Ed and to Joanne, who's sounds like did some other research. Where does this fall as far as a vehicle? I mean, are seat belts required? I get the other limousine services and the BYOB type of thing allow for folks, wedding parties and whatever else. They're certainly having a drink in that vehicle. It's enclosed, so it's not as publicly visible. So I know there's the optics side of this that people are concerned with. And I have that same concern, but my primary concern is the safety of the vehicle itself, how it's constructed and put together, and the safety of the occupants that are going to be on it should it be involved in an accident. We're coming, and this is what we do. This is our side of this, and there's a pretty a significant passenger load on this vehicle. We're talking 12, 13 people. And it doesn't look like it sits up higher, which is good, but it doesn't look like there's a lot of side impact protection. There's kind of what looks like a bumper in the front and back. So I just don't know where this fits under the law to be on the street as a vehicle. And if this comes to pass and is out on the streets, I'm certainly going to want to connect with you so my folks can kind of take a look at it to see how does it work, how do we make it safe if it was involved in an incident. Regular passenger vehicles are pretty straightforward. If this thing's a little different, kind of a golf cart style motor and operation that was mentioned, my department needs to know how do we make this, turn it off, keep it from moving if there was an incident to keep everything safe. So kind of a little bit off of what we do on the livery side, but just to verify, at least through Ed and Joanne, that, this vehicle can legally be on the roads in Massachusetts. I mean, they may have done it elsewhere, but other states have other rules that we supersede and go beyond already. So I'm just not clear on that. Yeah, it is a licensed vehicle that can be legally on the roads in Mass.
John, do you want to take that?
I'd be happy to. So this vehicle is being professionally outfitted by a company called Trident Pedal. It's currently in North Carolina right now being road tested. It does have a VIN number. It meets all National Highway Safety and Traffic Administration criteria for a low-speed vehicle. It has seat belts. It has rear view mirrors. It's got windshields. It's got blinkers. It's got bumpers, fenders. It's not just a bar stool that customers can spin around on. Everything has rigid seat backs. It's got seat belts. It meets all national criteria. I spoke with the RMV in Massachusetts. I spoke with an insurance specialist that deals with registered motor vehicles. It was compared to golf carts that are street legal on beaches, vehicles used on professional movie sets. It meets all state and federal criteria for a low-speed vehicle. It is absolutely road legal. It's absolutely safe. I have no intention of taking money from a customer and giving them an unsafe experience.
Yep, no, I understand that. And I think, Ed, just a question to you real quick, has the inspection process for taxis, is that extend delivery vehicles that you guys are conducting? And this would fall into that, I'm assuming?
I mean, it could. I mean, at the end of the day, I understand the applicants receive a motor vehicle, Massachusetts RMV license plate. That would be a sort of a stamp of approval from the RMV, which ultimately is the deciding jurisdiction in that matter. We definitely would want, like you said, I'm sure the applicants would be willing to meet and have our people look at the vehicle just to familiarize ourselves with it. Actually, I have a question, Madam Chair, if you don't mind.
No, go right ahead.
My question is, have you applied to utilize this vehicle in other Massachusetts communities, or is Gloucester your only target?
Just well, I don't know if the word target feels comfortable, but just Gloucester.
A bit
Yeah,
more.
he also runs another.
Market target.
Oh, there we go. He also runs another service here, a pedal boat that he started last year through, also affiliated with the Yankee Fleet.
Right.
And he runs a scuba diving service also off Gloucester. So he's, Gloucester is the community that he's focused on.
I'm good.
Any other questions?
I'm all
Don't
set.
have any questions.
Okay.
So
So,
I will, if I understand correctly, what you need from me next is you need something from Mr. Sanborn, which, as I say, he and I have been working on pretty continuously through email for a couple of weeks. And then I will talk to Mr. Morneau about how we address the mayor's concerns about managing the alcohol in a responsible way. We hear that, I totally expected that question. And we want the city to be proud of their service. So, and how much notice do we need to set up another meeting?
well, it all depends on everybody's schedule. Sometimes it's difficult to arrange a schedule between the two chiefs and myself because we have so many meetings. I don't know how long it would take you to get this, to work out the zoning compliance and location with Mr. Sanborn. We can try to set it up like 2 weeks, a month.
Not a month I think he's eager to get started.
Okay.
April's right around the corner.
Okay. So it's really up to the chiefs on their, usually the licensing commission meets on an on-need basis, and that on-need basis is based on schedules. Because of course we're a small commission, so we do need a quorum in order to, to vote. So I would leave it up to the chiefs. Usually it's juggling their schedules. I'm pretty much flexible, but it's the two chiefs' schedules sometimes that we're not able to meet right away on that. So your thoughts, chiefs?
Yeah,
I'm pretty available heading into the summer. So.
Yeah, my March, I'm looking at my March calendar. It's not horrible right now. You should be able to, squeeze it in. I know Joanne has to have at least a 48-hour window to post it because it's a public meeting, obviously. So there's that, that lag there. But the sooner you can iron it out with Bill and get all that done and turned in to complete the package so we can vote on a full package. I don't see it being more than the 48 to 72 hours, and the 48's really because we have to do that part to public posting. So yeah, I mean, if we can knock this out in the next 2 weeks, I'm pretty open. If it goes beyond that, it starts to get a little dicey because my summer schedule's already filling in. I don't know why, but it is.
Can we tentatively schedule it for the 31st at 8?
Actually, the 31st is one of those dates that doesn't work for me, but I'm wide open on the 29th or the 30th.
Oh, okay. Can we say the 29th?
What's your schedule look like, Ed?
It's not, the 29th is not good.
With the
This is
30th?
what I run into.
Yeah. Can we say the 30th?
That works for me. I can put a hold on that. And actually I'm open surprisingly all day that day.
Well, hopefully we won't take your whole day.
No, I don't expect that, but someone else will. It's just how it goes.
Conley?
Hold on 1 second, because my
Okay.
computer decided to run an update when I logged on, so
Okay.
I'm on my phone.
Okay.
I am wide open on the 30th.
Okay, and I don't have anything on the 30th myself. Okay, the other question is what time, chiefs?
In the morning is better for me. I don't know how it is for you guys. So I would say 8:30. It doesn't have to be right at 8, but somewhere within that first hour in the in the office door when I dig through my pile. It just makes it easier. I tell them, go away, I have a meeting.
Okay.
That works for me.
Works for you? Okay. So, so we all in agreement to continue this matter to the March 30th meeting at 8:30 a.m.?
Sure.
Okay,
Yes.
and the applicants can come back with the questions that we have. It's mostly concerning is the location piece.
Yeah.
Because that's what people look at when we do liveries, especially private liveries. And I just find after the fact, sometimes like the mayor said, she had a question on a private livery, it was residence, it's home there, but I know you're going into a commercially, open spot on Harbor Loop. I find after we approve, that's when I get all the complaints, and I just say, you have to sign up on the website. You just have to see the agendas and see what's going on in your neighborhood. That's all I say on that.
The last thing I would throw out besides that was we didn't really put a finger on the pickup drop off point. It sounds like this is a singular loop that everybody's going to get picked up maybe at one spot because you kind of need the pedal power to get the thing moving, but maybe not. It's got the alternative power to it. So that will be something that the public, if they don't like where you're doing it, that will ring everyone's phone. If it's like all of the sightseeing stops turn into the pickup drop off, then it turns into the fight over parking, which we know Ed knows it way better than I do, is constant here in this town just because of the parking issues. So I would just, if you have a solid spot where, hey, the bulk of the groups that are doing this 2-hour tour get on and off at spot X, I think that would be helpful.
It's my understanding it'll be at the Yankee Fleet on Parker Street.
Okay, perfect.
But we appreciate your careful attention to this. And I will get you the answers to your questions. And also we'll talk about how to assuage the mayor's concerns.
I just would bring up one last point too to consider. I think Melissa Texera brought it up earlier that though this falls outside of the purview of the licensing commission, ultimately I'll have to make a decision regarding enforcement.
Right.
And that would weigh up, certainly on your decision to go forward or whether or not we would enforce drinking in public.
Right. That's one of the reasons I have to deal with that question, because I understand the position it puts you in as the police chief. So I get that too.
Okay, so anything else on this matter? We have one more matter after this.
Oh, I'm all set.
Thank you all so much.
Okay,
Yeah, thanks, Meredith.
Take care.
Thank you.
Thanks,
All
guys.
right. The last item on the agenda would be the approval of the January 20th, 2021 meeting minutes. Chief Conley, have you looked at them? I looked at them, they're fine.
Yeah, I did. Before the
Okay.
meeting yesterday, yes.
Okay. All right, so do you want to make a motion to approve?
I make a motion that we approve the previous meeting's minutes.
Okay, and I second that motion. And Chief, you were not present at that time, so Chief Conley, your vote?
Yes.
Okay, and I vote yes. Okay, the minutes of the January 20th, 21 meeting is approved. 2 in favor, 0 opposed, 1 recused. Okay, and then there being no further business that I know of, that if you want to bring anything else up, I would do a motion to adjourn.
Yep, the motion to adjourn.
Second.
Okay. Motion to adjourn, Chief Conley,
Yes.
Yes. Chief Smith?
Yes.
Okay, and I say yes, and we are adjourned at 9:08 a.m. Thank you very much, and we'll see you on the 30th.
Thanks. See you guys. Good luck with the computer. There's a couple of updates that aren't playing well with printers. Just to warn you,
I just got my new printer installed yesterday by Sean Bushy. I
got 3 computers at our station that are fighting with our networked printers that don't want to print, and my guys are going crazy.
Oh,
Yeah.
terrific.
Fun. All right. Have fun. See you guys.
Bye.
Thanks.